Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Devon Jarvis, who is a student broadcaster at Ithaca College out in New York. How are you?
Doing well, Casey. Thank you so much for having me on.
So, why don't you tell a little bit about yourself? A little bit, just explaining, how you got into the business, and just a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a sports broadcaster. Just finished my sophomore year at Ithaca College, and I'm from Westport, Connecticut. It's been a very, very fun journey over these couple years. As far as getting into it, I think like most kids, I was one of those in middle school and elementary school who is muting the TV and broadcasting over it themselves. I think sometimes my friends would get almost annoyed. It would be whether we're playing video games and one guy's left alive and I'm broadcasting above that, or football and basketball with the NFL and the NBA. It's been so fun, and I come from a very lucky program in high school. My high school, Staples High School, has a very solid radio and television program that I was able to learn the basics of broadcasting at, and that catapulted me to eventually going to Ithaca College. Between the Bruce Beck Sports Broadcasting Camp and a couple other things, I was able to be convinced to stay in broadcasting. I actually wasn't sure if I wanted to do it in my senior year. I was deciding between, leveraging my broadcasting talents to get into a good school and go the business route or go broadcasting. And there was just this special Thanksgiving Day football game in my senior year of high school that kept me in it. After that game, I looked back at that option to continue broadcasting, and I was just like, I have to give this a try. This is just my dream. And if I were 50 years old and look back on me not even trying, I would certainly regret it. I don't think I'm going to regret trying. So that was always super big for me, and it's been an awesome journey ever since.
I always forget they always have these big Thanksgiving Day high school football
Yeah,
games out east.
yeah, they do.
So, for you, I know you've gotten a chance to broadcast a lot of different sports. Like, what have you done this year? Just rattle off some of the things that you were able to accomplish in your sophomore year of college,
Yeah, so I don't know if you want me to go through everything because it might be too long of a list.
or
Just
just
all
hit
the
the bullet
individual. No,
points.
no, no. I'll get to. I got it for you. So there's toward the start of the year, I was the football color commentator on our live TV show. I also called on the radio for volleyball, field hockey, women's soccer, men's soccer. Then going after that, I was basketball, men's and women's basketball. I also did some volleyball with Cornell because Cornell, Ithaca in the same town. And then cover the lacrosse team on our student television station for Cornell, a couple other stuff with that TV station, but pretty much covering all of Ithaca sports on our radio station, producing some shows, but really just trying to put my foot in every single place I can because it's just been so fun. The opportunities that Ithaca gives you is so great.
So, like, what's the sport you feel most comfortable in calling?
I think the one sport I feel most comfortable in calling is likely basketball. I think what's so special about basketball is the ceiling that a broadcaster has as far as the description. I think not many other sports can you be so pinpoint accurate on the location of the field or court or whatever your playing surface is. Beyond that, the description when it comes to basketball, with the moves you're doing and all sorts that go into that process. I think it's really, really special. And I think basketball as a sport, it's my favorite sport. I think it's a near perfect sport. It's easy to understand. It's beautiful in nature. You can have players that just amaze you, and the constant action too is hard to beat.
So, who are some of the people that you kind of looked up to as you kind of started this broadcasting thing?
Yeah, I think I not only looked up to professionals, and I'll name a couple of those, but I also looked up to my peers. There were a couple people at Ithaca College that I looked up to. Cam Manna, who I went to high school with, who you've had on this podcast. Also Eli Fishman, Raina DeCrow, Brian Manchester, three that taught me a lot in the 2 years that I spent with them at high school or in college rather. And then as far as professionals go, I think Kevin Harlan, Ian Eagle are the two that stand out to me. Jim Nance as well. But what I think is so good about those first two specifically is Ian maybe never says the same thing twice. Um, you know, Mike Breen, one of the greatest broadcasters ever, but he has that bang, right? He uses that all the time. I feel like Ian Eagle, what makes him so special and great is he's different with his calls every time, and they're just as satisfying each time. He thinks of something new to say that, maybe is a play on words with the player you're talking about, like Donovan Clingan and a Kling Kong slam. And then with Kevin Harlan, there is never a dull moment listening to a Kevin Harlan basketball game or football game. He's always bringing the energy. When it seems like maybe it could be a boring game, it feels exciting when Kevin Harlan's calling it.
Absolutely. So, numerous sports that you've gotten to do, like throughout your career, I'm pretty sure you've had some interesting moments, some big time moments from, let's just go this year, like, we'll talk about the career a little bit later, but this year, what were some of the highlights that you've had?
I think there was a moment this year that's going to stand out to me uh, for the rest of my life. The men's basketball team at Ithaca was one that I was closer to than any other team this season. From the start, there was a lot of talk about whether they'd be able to reach the title game, whether they'd be able to make it far in the playoffs, with the roster they constructed and the coach they had. And I was always from day one rooting for them. And toward the end of the season, they started to get on a roll. They made it to the conference championship despite what maybe the critics and what other people thought. And I was like, I know they can do this. I've been with them since day one. And it was the Sunday of the conference championship that there was also the women's basketball conference championship. Now, the women's basketball was being hosted at Ithaca. And I was the producer for our live basketball show, like the same coverage you see on ESPN and TNT for the playoffs right now. We have our own version of that. And I was the producer for that show, one of four. And I was mostly doing pre-production work, and I wasn't really going to have a specific role on game day. And I begged my producers, and I tried to convince them, as well as the sports director of our show and station manager of our television station, to allow me to, you know, do everything I need for the women's basketball game here, but also go on the road and be able to broadcast the men's basketball championship on the road. And I convinced them. They really didn't need to take much convincing because they're all so great. And I ended up going all the way to Troy, New York, right by Albany. Took about 3 hours, and we broadcasted that game, Cam Manna and I, and we went up like 16-2 in the first couple minutes, and we were big underdogs going into this one. And Cam and I kind of looked at each other like, what was going on? We ended up winning that game, and it was the best feeling ever. Got a couple interviews after. It was a exhilarating game to call. And then after, we saw them cut down the nets, we had to drive back to Ithaca because there was the live sports show that goes on that I'm on as the Cornell analyst at 8 p.m. So we drove all the way from Albany back to Ithaca. I got there 15 minutes before live showtime, had the suit on and everything, went on air. It was awesome. Did the show, and then after that, we celebrated with the basketball team too. They invited us over because I think what's special about D3 is they have that connection between player, coaching staff, and broadcasters. So we celebrated with them, and it's maybe the most fun day that I've ever had in college. Just that one day.
Yeah. So I know that being in Ithaca, you obviously also have access to a lot of the stuff that goes on at Cornell. Of course, they won the lacrosse championship just a few days ago. Like, I don't know how much you were involved with that, but what was it like seeing them get it done?
It was honestly so special. And in a similar way to the men's basketball team, it felt like you won as well. Although I don't go to Cornell, I extensively cover Cornell sports, and this lacrosse team was one I had talked with players and coaches to before. CJ Kirst I had talked to. He just won most outstanding player in the tournament. He's the career leader in goals for college men's lacrosse, and he's likely to win the Tewaaraton, which is the Heisman of college lacrosse as well. On top of that, I talked to Michael Long, who's an integral part of their championship win, as well as their coach Connor Busick, who's one of the youngest coaches ever to win a championship in college lacrosse. So it was so special to know that team at such a high level, and to see them on the big stage in Gillette Stadium to win it. Um, they were such a special squad, and I think similar to the way I believed in that team before the season for men's basketball, it was the same thing for Cornell lacrosse too. They were my pick to both win the championship, and for CJ was my pick to win the Tewaaraton. So it was great to see them get it done. I could have probably been at the game, but I decided to stay home, watch the TV. Didn't want to work it, wanted to enjoy it. So it was super, super special, and that team's got a bright future ahead of them. Hopefully looking to broadcast some of their games even further in the future. They've got a really special team with Ryan Goldstein ahead, Willem Firth. Despite CJ Kirst and Hugh Kelleher going, they've still got a really solid foundation for the future.
So what is speaking of the future with you, like what's to come in your years of college? Because you still have 2 more years left. What do you look to do?
Well, I look to just seize every opportunity I can. I think there's going to be some openings now next year that after some seniors have left, those names I'd mentioned before, Cam Manna, Randa DeCrow, Eli Fishman, they all graduated. So some opportunities open and shoes I'm looking to fill. Nothing's confirmed yet other than I will be the radio play-by-play broadcaster for our football team. So traveling to all the home and away games. That'll be a blast. We'll have Cortica at the end of the year, which is our annual rivalry game against SUNY Cortland. That draws thousands of viewers, tens of thousands of viewers online. And then maybe the year after that, if things go well, we have a game in Yankee Stadium, which we did in 2022 or 2023. Yeah, 2022. We had MetLife in 2019, and I'm hoping next year is the year we bring it back to the big stage for my senior year. That would be very special. I'm also looking to hopefully get a little bit more involved in calling ESPN Plus for Cornell, volleyball, field hockey, men's and women's basketball, lacrosse, softball, stuff like that. Um, and then I have 2 years, hopefully 2 years, definitely at least 1 year ahead of me with the Bourne Braves in the Cape Cod Baseball League. And I think that's the dream spot for college sports broadcasters to spend their summers. I'm very grateful and lucky to be in the position I am to have a role for this coming season. Me and rising senior at Syracuse, Adam Gotkin, as well as Ariel Tamir at Wisconsin. We're going to be the broadcast trio for the Bourne Braves this summer. Adam, the play-by-play, is alongside me, and then Ariel is the sideline reporter. I think that's going to be just an awesome experience, so much fun. And I got to look back and thank my predecessors before me, like Cam Manna and Max Tanzer, who both came from Ithaca College and definitely laid the groundwork. I'm not sure I would be in this role without them. But so much to be looking forward to in my college career going forward. But I guess the next step right now is the Bourne Braves this summer.
Where do you see yourself? What do you want to do? Like outside, I always like to end it with this like big goal. Like I know you have big goals and you want to do this. Like where do you see yourself and where do you want to end up?
I think it's a very interesting question because I have so many interests. Top of that list is likely play-by-play. But also I have a deep interest in reporting, both sideline and like journalistically, finding very interesting stories, and that's something I've been doing more and more of as the years have gone on. I also really like hosting, and I think those are kind of the big three. You have the journalist aspect, being a sideline reporter, or being a reporter or correspondent on a program. You have hosting, and you have play-by-play, and I think those three are all something I want to keep those doors open down the road. But play-by-play does seem to be the number one for me. I would love to, I guess, dream of all dreams. To call the NBA Finals, maybe college basketball at March Madness, and then specifically call the Masters. I have a deep connection to the Masters. Golf is a sport that has been in my life forever. My grandfather's ashes were spread on Augusta National. My dad will likely be spread in the same place, and then hopefully me after that. It's just the most beautiful sporting event that on the entire calendar, whether it be once every 4 years for the World Cup, I'm still choosing the Masters over anything.
Okay. All right. Well, Devin, thank you so much for the time as always. And congrats and best of luck to you in your broadcasting career. And we'll have you on again sometime.
Would love that. Thank you so much, Casey. Good luck to you as well.